Welcome, everybody. Welcome to our live show, Living Radically Soul-Led. I'm here today with an incredible guest from my home country, Norma Simon. She's joining us today. Norma is a spiritual channel and a life coach, and I'm so excited to have her join us today. We've been communicating for a while, and we've got it right. And we're very, very excited to share with you today what she's going to be. What's the word? Not exposing, but we're talking messages and miracles. And we're going to tap into the messages and the miracles that Norma has experienced in her life and her clients. So without further ado, I introduce Norma to you. Welcome, Norma. Let me see if I can pin both of us up here. Sorry to interrupt you. Okay, I think that's right. Okay. Norma, thank you so much for being with us today. Welcome to our live show.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited, Alexia, and to think about what you had asked me, what got me here to where I am. Wow, what a journey it's been. You know, at my age, at 66, most individuals wind down, many retire, but this has been the most extraordinary period in my life, and I've realized that it's because of my history, because of what it is that I have experienced throughout my life that has actually given me the knowledge, the wisdom to share what I'm able to do now. So to start at the very beginning, my twin and I were born at 7 months. And
can I interrupt you? And I would just like to read your brief bio to properly introduce you, and then I'll invite you to share your story on a deeper level with us. I think the viewers will really, really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So this is a little bit of Norma's story. I was born with my twin sister at 7 months and suffered with my health throughout my childhood and into my adulthood. I have faced many challenges, including deformed feet, skin cancer, scoliosis, osteoporosis, and physical and emotional abuse from a marriage to an alcoholic. It has been a journey that has taught me skills that have allowed me to live my passion for the last 30 years. I have studied and continue to study the connection between the emotional and physical body and how our body speaks to us through illness. Through my background in aromatherapy, reflexology, shiatsu, I hope I'm saying that right, and Reiki, I can delve deeper and create a unique holistic awareness for my clients. I use my gift to uncover what is not conscious, any limitations, and bring it to the surface, ultimately enabling individuals to release what no longer serves them. I run several workshops and masterclasses throughout the year. They focus on the physical, mental, emotional, spiritual connection. These can be attended virtually. One of the powerful processes I use during the workshop is giving each participant an opportunity to create a creative drawing or piece. And after the workshop, I send each participant an audio of the channeled interpretation of the creative piece. That's beautiful. Revealing what is in the unconscious mind. This unique process allows me to give you the hidden insight into your subliminal state and the opportunity for you to have a powerful and illuminating experience. Wow, there's so much in there. There's so much in there. And I'm just really, really excited about how we're going to unpack this time together. Would you share with the audience how you got to where you are today? What has brought you here?
Yes, I think because I was born with my twins as a twin and premature, I was the introvert, my twin is the extrovert, which made my childhood very, very difficult because I was ultra sensitive. I didn't communicate my feelings. I stored them internally and spent most of my time talking to God in our loquat tree in our garden. And when I wasn't doing that, I was doing ballet because that was my safe haven. I found it very difficult to verbalize my feelings in any way whatsoever, even in my adulthood. And I realized after suffering many, many years with physical illness that there had to be a connection between the emotions and the physical body. And that's when I began to do body work. So when I used the body as a means to communicate, I would, my guides would come in, I would pray first, I would meditate, and then I'd work on a person's body and I'd be guided. I'd be shown exactly where to work. Also, as I began working on the body, these messages would download and come through. And it took me a long time to trust those messages that came through, because I'd have this crazy conversation in my head and say, but I cannot tell my client, they'll think I'm crazy. Or how can I reveal that? A trauma that happened at 3, or this that is going on in the physical body. As I'm working on the body, am feeling the physical pain and often the emotions as well. And the tears would pour down my cheeks, but my clients wouldn't know that, but I'd plug into them. And it took me many years to trust. And I said that I would basically dedicate my life to being of service and do this and help others not walk the path that I had walked, which was absolute emotional and physical suffering. And when I can go back in time to when I was 15 years old, having been born with deformed feet, I was told I needed an op to fuse my toes together and that I would never do ballet again. And that was my dream, that was my life. And I said, whatever happens, I am going to dance professionally. And that taught me how to switch off to pain, how to create resilience and perseverance and overcome struggle. And I did actually dance professionally until I got to a point where the pain was unbearable. And then I couldn't switch it off any longer. So that was a dream that was shattered. And that, because of that background of having been so physical in my being and being my soul being fed by music and through music, when I worked on bodies, I felt exactly the same energetically as when I was dancing. It was like I lost myself in someone else's energy to create something that just unfolded, that I had no sense of what was going to happen, what was going to be coming through me. So it's been a remarkable journey. Along the way, when I was 30 was when I was diagnosed with skin cancer. And I was so angry internally because I felt, why am I the only one of 5 children that has to take this on? Why am I having to suffer? My father died from melanoma, and I was told, you have basal cell stage 1, you have squamous cell stage 2, and the next step is melanoma, and you need to just know that that is how it progresses. And I got to a stage where I said, I'm not going to accept this. I'm actually not taking it on. Just as I did with my osteoporosis, I went to my gynecologist and went for a checkup. I was 37 years old. And he said to me, see you when you go through menopause. You've got 2 things to look forward to, menopause and osteoporosis.
Wow.
And just as he said that, this message downloaded through me and said, you have osteoporosis now. And it just came out of my mouth. And he looked at me and he said, you don't seem to understand. I said, after menopause. And I said, no, I have it now. And he said, how do you know? And I just smiled and I said, I know. And I went to a professor, the top professor in South Africa, and he said to me, where's your bone density? And I said, I don't have it. He said, but then how do you know you have it? And I said, I know. And they did a bone density and I was on the fracture line.
Oh my
And
God.
he said to me, how much pain do you have? I said, none. He said, how many bones have you fractured?
Oh my God.
I said, none. And that was such a valuable lesson because it taught me that if we focus on an illness and if we buy into it,
Yeah,
we become it and it becomes us.
exactly.
So I made up my mind. I'm not going to be my illness any longer. And with every diagnosis that I received thereafter, whatever other physical symptom manifested through me, I began to unpack it and work with the emotions that were under the surface and the trauma, so that I consciously did the work and I continue doing the work all the time to understand what is my body telling me? And do I accept this? Because we know the body, our bodies are capable of healing themselves when we are in alignment with nature. When we are in alignment with who we really are and in alignment with source energy, with the God connection. And nothing is impossible when that happens. And that is what I teach. That is what brings me so much joy to my heart, knowing that I can teach others and make a difference to empower them to take control and ownership and responsibility of who they are and what they truly want in their lives. Because unless we take responsibility for ourselves and the path that we choose and consciously become aware of the language that we speak to ourselves, we either empower ourselves and push ourselves forward in a positive way, or we disempower ourselves and bring ourselves down. So our belief system, our story, and what we choose to be and think consciously every day affect our lives daily. And that is what I focus on with every client.
My goodness, Norma, what a powerful testimony of life and light and love and, even self-compassion through all the processes that you've shared with us. Everything you've said resonates. Everything that you've said aligns with my work and this community that we're creating here. Thank you for sharing and being so vulnerable and powerful in that vulnerability. I would like to ask you now, when you began to process the physical pain and every challenge, what were the personal messages that or did you receive personal messages for yourself, and what were they?
Yes, so I've received messages for myself for a long time. There were some that were incredible. For example, when I was told my eldest son was in first year varsity, and I was told he was going to have a motorbike accident.
Wow.
And I said to him, please be careful. This is the message that I've received. And 3 months later, the hospital phoned. They said, we have your son here. He's going into theater. Please be here. So I realized that the universe has our backs. If only we open ourselves up to that reality, because we're all capable of it. And we just be still to hear the messages that come in. So I was prepared for that.
Yeah.
I lived in Pretoria my whole childhood.
Oh, wow.
And after I got divorced,
I was in Benoni.
okay,
That's far.
far away. And after I got divorced, I woke up one day and I was told, you get into your car, you pack up your 3 children, and you drive to Cape Town.
Wow, I got goosebumps.
And I had no job. I did not know where I was going to stay. And I just trusted. I had never driven that far, ever. I didn't even know how to get to Cape Town. And it became our new journey and a new path. And it's been that way with every message that I've received along the way. I was told with my second marriage, do not marry this man.
Yeah.
I did not listen. But the learning that I experienced through the trauma of being in that relationship has assisted me in helping my clients today
Yeah.
to understand what trauma is, to understand the acceptance of what is a good relationship, understanding relationships, understanding where to set boundaries.
Yeah.
So the messages have always come to me when I need them most, and at other times come into my consciousness where I've been woken up like clockwork at 4 a.m, and messages coming through, and I have my pen and paper there because I know this is the message for today I need to channel out into the world. Or this is something that is coming through, I need to create a workshop with this information. So I'm like often in tune with those messages as they come through. Some come in and I forget them, but then the universe will bring them back in again and say, you're not listening.
Yeah. Yeah.
What I did decide when I acknowledged that I needed to use my gift was that I was not going to deal with those that have passed.
Okay.
And so many individuals asked me, and I said, no, I just felt that I wasn't ready for that. And after about 10 years, I was told it's time, you need to. And I fought this and I said, but that, I don't want that to be the focus of my work. That's not what I want. I want that to be just something on the side if it happens to come through. And I have only one memory of the most profound experience with a client. He came here to see me physically, and a lot of my clients, I've never heard their voice. I've never met them, not hearing their voice on the phone. They've just written me an email and said, this is who I am. These are the questions that I want answered. So many of them I've never connected with in that way. But this client saw me physically. And I tuned in and I got this vision of a man throwing a stick to two Alsatians in the water. And they kept on going backwards and forwards. And the words that came through were, thank you for sending my dogs to me.
Oh, wow.
Now, I don't recollect what I've said as the information comes through. And all I was aware of were the tears pouring down her cheek. And when I read, I feel in my own body, so I could feel her pain. And when we finished, she said to me, I always ask, could you relate to that? And she said, you know, my husband passed 3 months ago, and my 2 dogs were very old, and I knew he could not live without them. And I put them both down.
Oh,
And here he was thanking her for
wow.
having done what she did. And the joy in her heart to
Wow.
have received that information was profound.
Wow, I can imagine. Yeah.
So for me to be able to do what I do is bringing closure to many people,
Mm,
assisting them in recognizing that when they, just as me, when I look at myself honestly and take responsibility for me, I have the power within me to change my circumstances, to make different choices, and to create the life that I want.
mhm.
And that is what I do for my clients. Yes, I'm using this gift that often gives to them not what they might want to hear, but what they need to hear. And there's a very, very big difference. And sometimes a client will say to me, I don't resonate with that, or that doesn't make sense at all. In fact, I had a client here, I think 3 days ago, and she said to me, oh my goodness, Norma, you warned me about something. And I listened to the recording because I keep on saying I record every session for a client, whether it's a 15-minute, a 30-minute, a 45-minute, or an hour session. And I say, keep listening to it because often information comes through that one might not resonate with. And she said to me, exactly what you told me has just happened. And that's why I'm here. And I did not listen.
Wow. Wow.
So yes, I have done the same with my own messages where I have been given such powerful information and I have blocked my own ears.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's such an incredible space to be in, to be able to serve this way. And I think it does take a radical acceptance of your gifts to be that vessel and to hold that space for your client. And because I think you're the bridge, you're like that bridge which helps them to connect worlds, to connect, their world and to connect their or dissolve worlds or conflicts, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so thank you for sharing all of that. If you think about your clients and their major struggles, like what are the struggles that most of your clients come to you for?
The first, believe it or not, is stress.
Mm,
Stress is, I would say, number one.
okay. So how does the stress, they come to you and they tell you what, I'm stressed, or how does it manifest for them in their lives?
So it's either going to manifest in anxiety.
Mm,
So we unpack it. And when I start every session, I will tune in and download a vision, a message. And so often it uncovers the cause of
mm,
what is really happening.
mm,
And then it all just unfolds and it has a journey of its own and gives to the individual what they need. So we unpack as we go along. And so often, what is unfolding is completely different to what the individual has believed the problem to
yes,
be.
yes, yeah,
And that is the miracle.
yeah,
And even for myself, I will be in awe. And I've done this for 30 years. I am in awe of what is unfolded. And then at the end of the day, I sit with myself
mm,
because I experience the trauma with them.
yeah,
And I begin to unpack what it is that has been triggered in me and what I'm holding as well. So
yeah,
the gift I bring to them, they bring to me as well.
yeah,
So the work never stops.
yeah, yeah.
So stress
Like
is
an
number
infinity
one.
loop. It's like an infinity loop, and it's constantly looping in and out, and just beautiful.
Yes. So stress is number one.
Okay.
The next is relationships.
Mm,
Relationship with one's partner, relationship within the work environment, relationship with children.
okay.
And then we begin to unpack how the individual is experiencing themselves. Because unless they can experience themselves truly and honestly and authentically, they are the barrier.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that is the focus. So often I hear a client say, you know, my boss and I just clash, or my husband is creating a problem for me. And it's human nature. We blame everyone else but ourselves.
Yes.
And as soon as we begin to look in the mirror and say, am I creating this? Am I the one that, because of my beliefs, my history, my perception, I'm looking through a lens that is making me feel that it's everyone else's problem and not me? And that was a serious wake-up call for me, because I had blamed my illness all my life, my illnesses. I had not taken responsibility and asked myself the question, why am I always ill?
Mm,
Why have I always been a victim? What is it that I needed, or what needs of mine were not met, that
yeah.
I had to become and create that as my world?
Yes. Yes. So powerful. Asking those questions. Okay, so it's stress and relationships. Okay.
Stress and relationships, and finances third.
Okay, finances, money. Yeah.
Yes.
Have you noticed at all that on the thing of money, does it have any correlation? Because I said in my work, does it have any correlation with love and self-love and the relationships, and how much we're willing to open up to give and to receive, but not in the form of money, in the form of love and in the form of compassion and forgiveness and gratitude? Because very often people think that their money problems are just about money, and it's actually not. It's actually not.
Absolutely. And that was my greatest gift, where my belief system was that you had to slog
Mm,
to get money.
yeah,
It wasn't about opening oneself up to the possibility of first loving oneself,
yeah,
loving others, giving to oneself, giving to others, and then recognizing that I am deserving of receiving.
yeah, yeah. The
It
worthiness piece. Yeah.
intertwined with the love of the self.
Mm-hmm.
And when we love ourselves, we want to give to others. It just falls
Yeah,
out of one.
yeah.
It just happens.
Yes.
And that was, I hated myself growing up. I felt so awkward. I struggled to make friends. I didn't fit in. I was so highly sensitive. I felt completely left out.
Mm-hmm.
So my language of love, there was none. I was introverted. I was drawn inwardly to connect only with source energy, to get my love and my comfort there. So that was incredibly strong. But my challenge was to love me and recognize that I was enough.
Wow. Yeah. This also ties in with parenting, you know, and your children, and how, as a mom, how did that impact your life as a mom? You know, these beliefs.
I struggled
Mm,
because I was a single mom for many, many years. And emotionally, I was not great. I was so highly strung. I was not coping with my own life. And then I needed to parent three children, two boys and one girl. And I felt helpless. And that was when I turned to psychiatrists and psychologists to learn and understand how the psyche works. And I then learned to empower myself and learn to set boundaries with myself and with my children and then with others. And
Yeah.
that changed my life completely.
Wow. Yeah, I know as a mom, it's very easy to just to lose yourself as a parent, as a mother, and as a wife, and just give, and then finally discover, where am I? Where did I lose myself? How did this happen? Right? Yeah, very, very powerful. And your story is very, very, it's so moving, and it just touches so many chords. When you talk about the self-love, I want to share a story that happened this week with my 5-year-old. Just a brief story, and I've got the book here. We were reading a book the other night. It's called The Smartest Giant in Town. It's about a giant, and he goes to buy a new set of clothes at the smart shop, because he was always in rags, and he was walking around in these rags and these old sandals. He loved them, but he thought he wanted to change his appearance, right? So he went and he bought a whole new set of clothes, and he threw his old rags out. He left them there at the store, and he felt very, very confident, and was shiny and all brushed up. And he went off. He started to his walk home, and on the way home he met different friends, animals along the way, and every animal was having some sort of problem. The one was a goat, and he was in a body of water on a boat, and he was complaining that he lost his sail. So George, the giant, would take off his shirt and give the shirt to the goat so that he could put it on as a sail for his boat. And he would do things like this with different parts of his clothing to every animal that he had found that was challenged in some way. The dog was, he took the belt to create a path over a muddy swamp, and so on. And then he got to almost the end of his road, almost home, and he realized that the wind was changing and it was getting cold, and he was cold. He was barefoot. His trousers were falling down because of the belt that he'd given, and he was cold without a shirt, and he was really, really sad about having given all his things away from his kind heart, and suffering now because of his the weather conditions and whatever. So he made his way all the way back to the store to go and buy new clothes. When he got there, he saw that his old clothes were in a bag outside the store. The store was closed, so he sat down to cry, and then on the corner of his eye he saw his old clothes, and he was so happy to find these old clothes, and he put them on, and he started to walk back home. So it's actually quite a bit of a metaphor, putting on the old clothes and putting on that old self, which we could go easily deeper into that, but we won't now. I want to stick to the story of my daughter. So we finished the book, and at the end of the book, he gets home in his rags, and he finds a gift at the door, and all the animals that he'd helped along the way, and they made him a gift, a golden crown, and they wrote a beautiful card for him. And at the end of the card, they called him the kindest giant in town. And I said to Sophia, she's my 5-year-old, I said to her, you see how all his friends came to give him a present because he was the kindest giant, and he was so kind to them. And she turned and she said to me, yes, Mom, but why wasn't he kind to himself? And I was like, okay.
Absolutely. I'm in the house of babes.
And this just ties in so beautifully with everything that's, you cannot give without having a full cup. You have to first be kind to yourself, the self-love, the self-care, the nourishment, the nurturing. And I was just blown away by what she'd shared. And, this is how we're supposed to live. And this is where we begin to feel our body showing to us how unkind we are to ourselves by ignoring our emotions, by ignoring the harmful beliefs that we hold for our lives, and the words that we say to ourselves. And we get to change that. Like, it gets to be, turning it around and really becoming kinder to ourselves and more self-loving. So I just wanted to share that and speak into that because it really ties in with the self-love. We are at 36 minutes into our conversation, and I know you have an afternoon full of client calls. So I want to ask you one last question, and
Sure.
then we're gonna do your free reading for 2 of our lucky viewers. I also want to pop in here to see if there's any comments in here. Just give me a moment. And then we're gonna listen to myself. Okay, Joanne. Okay. So for everybody who's watching, my son, he's already chosen when we closed the draw. He came and he chose 2 names with his eyes closed. He chose 2 names already for the people who are going to have a draw. But I assume that the people have to be with us for you to do the draw.
No.
Okay, they don't. Okay,
No.
you just need a name.
I just need a first name.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so after this question that Norma's going to answer when I ask, she will go ahead and do the free readings, and we'll announce the lucky winners. One final question. Let me see. Okay, so you talk about intuition, following that intuition, that inner guidance. How do you help your clients to discern between what's intuition or another voice? Let's call it that.
To go into a quiet space, to breathe, to put their hand on their heart, and always ask themselves first, how am I feeling now? And then to identify. So I ask them to do that when they wake up in the morning, at lunchtime, and when they go to bed at night, so that they can tune into themselves first, to become aware of themselves. It's so important to quieten the mind. And then to give themselves just 15 minutes a day, either to listen to music and switch off completely, or to sit quietly for 15 minutes and breathe, just watching the breath, or to do a visualized meditation. And then to come out of it, and whatever thoughts are coming into their consciousness, to write them down. And then to find quiet time, just to sit quietly, light a candle, breathe, close their eyes, and wait for that information to come in. Because when we are quiet, it does come in. But when we think and we overthink, we actually don't hear the inner voice, the intuition. And everyone has intuition. So, for example, before a client, I will meditate on that client, sit quietly, allow that information to come in, so that when I do the session, I know it's there, it will just unfold.
Yeah.
And that's how it is. We stand in the way of ourselves, of intuition, and yet it's our natural state if we still.
Yeah, I think also there is a conditioning behind that, right? That we've been taught to seek the answers outside of ourselves, and also conditioning through the media and movies that we watch, and everything that we expose ourselves to. Okay, so I also love to connect with my higher self and the client's higher self before we get on an actual call, and the heart connection is absolutely the first thing for me as well. It's paramount. Okay, thank you so much for that. Let's go into the readings. Let me see if there's any questions again. Okay, so the 2 lucky persons who were picked by my 9-year-old son, his eyes were closed, is Alexis or Alexis and Erica.
Okay, so I'm first going to focus on Alexis, and I'm going to tune in, give her a vision and message, and if she's online, she can ask a question. If she isn't online, something might come through, it might not.
Okay.
So as I focus on Alexis, the vision that comes to me is one of her outdoors in nature, and she's in this colorful outfit. It's like this magnificent skirt, these shiny, shimmering things all over her outfit. And she's carrying an umbrella, and it's a bright pink umbrella. And she cannot stop talking, but she's very vibrant and vivacious. And suddenly the wind begins to come up. And the next thing, she is no longer on the ground. She's actually holding onto her umbrella. And as she does, she sees life so differently. It's like her perception changes. And she realizes that she can now see things that she was unable to see before. It's like she's in it. She's been too caught up in the running of everything, the madness of what is going on in her reality. And I'm feeling that as soon as she's lifted up and out of it, and she chooses to see things through new eyes, it's like the chaos just disappears. She comes down with her umbrella, and it's this sense of, I now know what to do. So it feels like everything else that she's been struggling with suddenly disintegrates around her, and she's on a new mission, a new way of moving forward, of seeing life through new eyes. But what I feel about her, she's this vibrant character. She's full of color. She's creative. She's joyful. But what I'm feeling is that there are times where she hides so much pain in her heart, and I can feel it, the pain in her heart. And she's so giving to others, but there's pain in the heart. And that is for Alexis.
Thank you. Okay. And then we have Erica.
As I focus on Erica, the vision that comes through is one of Erica putting all these ingredients in a pot and checking, double checking, are they there? Are they there? Are they there? Doing the physical work, doing everything to produce a result. And when it's done and it's put into a bowl, the work that it has taken to get the result feels like Erica's not being rewarded in the way that she deserves to be. And what I sense around Erica right now is this feeling of looking at herself, not feeling as she looks at herself that she is enough, capable enough, or deserving enough of receiving what is there without the struggle. And as soon as Erica, as soon as you put those burdens from the past down, your path moving forward is easier because you now take responsibility on your shoulders, not only for yourself, but for everyone else. And you are so weighed down, you are exhausted working, trying to make things work when what is not functioning internally is where the problem lies. So I'm feeling that, Erica, your perception of yourself and your own capability and how you see yourself needs to change.
Wow, that's amazing. And if they have any questions, they can pop them in here or they can reach out to you. I'll make sure that I will send them a message and I will tag them and make sure that they get, notified that you have done this incredibly valuable reading for them. Thank you so much, Norma. Thank you so much. If anybody, so just share with us how people can reach you. Where can they find you?
So they can email me on zonein, ZONEIN, the numeral 1 at yahoo.com. They can go to my website, www.normasimon.com. They can WhatsApp me on +27 72 298 5576, and those in South Africa it's 072 298 5576.
Okay, and also Instagram, they can reach you on Instagram as well.
They can reach me on Instagram, spiritual channel, Norma Simon Spiritual Channel and Life Coach, and on Facebook.
Okay. We're going to put all of Norma's links, website, telephone, email. We'll put everything in the comments once this live gets uploaded into the group. And if anybody has any questions, pop them in the comments, reach out to Norma. I would prefer if you can pop them in the comments so that everybody else can also receive from Norma's response. If that helps, I think we get to support each other through the questions and struggles that somebody might be having. And then if you want to go deeper, by all means, email Norma, and she's also giving a free gift. I forgot to mention your free gift. Giving a free meditation. It's an inner child and inner light heart meditation, right? We're going to pop it in the comments. And you're gonna have access to that, whenever you want, and you can get into your heart space and experience Norma in your ears every single day. Okay, Norma, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for this beautiful experience and receiving from you and your medicine and your wisdom. I want to honor you and your path and your struggles and everything you've been through so that you can be here today with us. I feel that nothing is in vain. Everything has its purpose and has a gift, as you've so beautifully and gracefully shared with us. And I hope we will see you again soon.
Thank you so much, Alexia, for having me. I'm really honored and privileged, and it's been amazing. And thank you to all the listeners and everyone that's taken the time to come online, and those that will come online afterwards and listen, and for creating this incredible space. Thank you. I'm honored.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for watching. You can catch the next episode next month. We have a live episode once a month with incredible speakers just like Norma. And wishing you a beautiful Friday and a great weekend. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.